Hello, everyone. Today we are back for our playoff run of UDL Season 5. It's been a minute since our last upload, however, we have returned. It is time to dive into these matches. First, let's go off about where we ended up placing in the season. So, as seen from our previous videos, we ended up 5-3, +9 differential, making it to about the 4th seed, right? So only 6 people made playoffs per the two conferences of UDL. So it was very tough to get into playoffs, yet we did make it, right? And so looking at this, right, the first 2 people in each conference ended up getting buys. So that means that the only people playing in round 1 were the bottom 4: Harris, me, Maddie, and Rob. And with us being 4th, we ended up playing the 5th seed, being Maddie. So yes, Maddie is our first opponent for playoffs, and this matchup going in was very, very special, right? The first notable thing about this is that I to this day in my about how long have I been playing Draft League? What, about 6 years? This 2023 makes 6 years. In my 6 years of playing Draft League, right, I've only come to play 2 Mount Rushmore players at this point in time. That being Aki and the other being Zazo. I played Zazo multiple times, smoked him every time. I'm really him when it comes to playing Zazo. He don't want no smoke, man. But anyways, this is not about him. Next up, we got Maddie, right? Maddie. I've never played Maddie to this point. Maddie and Gypsy are the only ones I haven't played, and that was one of the main reasons why I joined UDL in the first place, was because this is the main place where these 2 guys play, right? So this would be pretty much one of my only chances to ever play them, unless it was in DPL or something. So the fact that in my 2nd season I finally got to face off against Maddie for the first time ever was super special, and just very grateful for the opportunity, right? That's one of the guys, the GOATs of all time. And yeah, I already knew this was going to be a really good match right off the bat, just from player wise. So yeah, let's dive into this first matchup versus Maddie, right? So round 1, looking at Maddie's team, okay, the first thing I noticed was this is very much, I wouldn't say very much, but similar to a mirror, right? Similar to a mirror. Now you may be saying, well, we only got 2 of the same mons, but in just our team structure, I would say we both have very offensive teams, okay? So looking at Maddie's mon specifically, he has a Roaring Moon, Iron Tread, Sandy Shocks, Torkoal, Terrascope Villain, Hatterene, Palma, and Salazo, okay? So first thing to be seen here is that this is a Sun team. Sun team goes crazy in Gen 9, and this is no exception. With Roaring Moon, Sandy Shock, Skull Villain all benefiting from the sun, makes them very, very big threats, especially the Terrascope Villain, which normally my Roaring Moon would be able to wall. However, with Terra Fairy or something like that, now he's able to kill my Roaring Moon. Also too, my team very much struggled to switch into Sandy Shocks. Now, my best switch-ins were easily Roaring Moon and Dragonite, just because they have the bulk to take hits from Sandy Shocks. However, this mon is still very, very threatening with the stabs, and especially with the sun boost. And then also Iron Treads as well. Seen from our last match, not our last match, but our week 7 match versus Cake Rick. Playing Iron Treads was very, very annoying. That mon pretty much got to spin our hazards away, and with Balloon it was able to check our Sandy Shocks. It was very, very annoying, right? And additionally as well, my team is very physically based, so breaking through a Torkoal is super challenging. And then lastly, he has Palmot, the GOAT. The GOAT. We know what Palmot can do, right? So with Palmot, this mon absolutely smokes my team, man. The Palmot that I was using has came back for vengeance because I let it go, bro. Straight up. This Palmot is seeking vengeance, and this is no exception, man. I have no switching to this mon on my team. The best one I have is easily like Sandy Shocks, and that's about it. My double water gets smoked by Palmot, and really only Dragonite and Sandy Shocks can even take a hit. So yeah, just very, very scary. Salazzle I wasn't too worried about. I didn't think it was really that viable versus me, but the rest of his mods for sure. So let's look at the team that I ended up bringing. So first off, we brought a Boots, bulky, fast Roaring Moon. Okay, so the idea behind this, right, was I needed a switch into the Sandy Shocks. Sandy Shocks special stabs are just super strong versus pretty much my entire team. I have no mon that can really eat any sort of hit other than Dragonite and Roaring Moon. So I decided to dedicate Roaring Moon to try to check Sandy Shocks. So because of that, we're packing Dragon Claw, Earthquake, U-Turn, Roost. U-Turn is because I noticed that it was probably better for me to U-Turn versus something like Hatterene rather than breaking it down with my Roaring Moon. And U-Turn can give me momentum into one of my other mons versus Hatterene. Earthquake is there for the Sandy Shocks, his Torkoal, his Iron Treads, etc. Dragon Claw is there to hit Roaring Moons, go villain. And Roaring Moon is, like I said, essentially here so I can check the Sandy Shocks, Salazzle if he brings it, and Villain that isn't a Terra Fairy set. So unless he's Terra Fairy, he's not going to be able to kill my Roaring Moon with any sort of hit. I can take Sun Boosted, Overheat, all of that. And also too, I get the Photosynthesis boost from his Torkoal, so which I think on this build gave me a +1 in speed too, so it was nice to possibly outrun his Roaring Moon, like speed tie, if he wasn't like a Choice Scarf set. So yeah. Next up, we are bringing Banded, Paldean, Tauros, Aqua. So looking at his team, right, he does not have a good fighting switch-in. His only fighting switch-in is Hatterene, and Hatterene of course has like very little longevity, and Hatterene also too doesn't want to take a Banded water move. So my idea was also too, looking at Maddie's team, he has no immunity or resistance to ground. So the idea behind Banded Tauros was, in most cases, even though he has a Torkoal which can weaken my water stab, which is also very free versus him, Choice Banded close combat and Earthquake is super free versus him. The fact that I can come in versus Iron Treads, even Torkoal, Roaring Moon, and just click a Banded hit makes this mon super dangerous versus him as a breaker. And as well as the fact that I too have Aqua Jet, which can possibly help revenge something like Villain, something like Sandy Shocks, Treads, which are all faster than me. I thought this one was super valuable in this matchup as a breaker. So yeah, that's the idea behind that. Next up, we're bringing a Air Balloon, Rock Polish, Glamora. So my thought process was that with Air Balloon, I would possibly be able to eat a Sandy Shocks hit, as he would only be able to click T-Bolt versus me, as well as be immune to Torkoal Earth Power. And because of that, it would then allow me to get up a Rock Polish, and with a Rock Polish, I end up outspeeding his entire team. Glamora with its stabs destroys every mon, and then with Earth Power, I'm able to kill the Iron Treads, and this can act as a basically a late game cleaner, taking advantage of number one, his lack of ground resist with Earth Power, and then also like Dazzle hitting the Roaring Moon really hard, and then Sludge Wave hitting everything else. I found this mon to be really valuable here, just as a late game cleaner. So that's the idea behind that. Next up, we are finally bringing Terra Normal Dragonite again. I think we only had brought it versus Helmi, but this is the second time it's making an appearance, and here it has to do a lot of work, right? Maddie's only normal resist is the Iron Treads. Now he could run Terra Ghost Go Villain, but I didn't think that was super likely since it wouldn't be able to hit Roaring Moon. So really his only normal resist is Iron Treads, which we already have a lot of mods to pressure it, like Tauros, Glamora, etc. And so my idea was with Terra Normal E-Speed, we would be able to revenge something like Scope Villain in the sun, as well as a boosted Roaring Moon, Sandy Shocks, whatever. And Dragon Dance with, we don't even need a lot of speed either. This is the Adamant with 132 speed. Just with one Dragon Dance, we're able to outspeed his Iron Treads, which means that we're able to run some bulk. And +1 Earthquake does a ton to Iron Treads. So, and that's the only mon stopping an extreme speed sweep. So yeah, that's the idea behind that. Extreme speed going before some like Mach Punch as well. So yeah, Terra Normal Dragonite looks exceptional here, and happy that we're able to bring it for the second time. Next up is this Azu set with Wakanberry, Play Rough, Liquidation, Jet, Substitute. So this Azu I was really considering to be my lead. The reason being was I figured that he would want to lead off a mon that could threaten me right off the bat, or lead off with his Torkoal. And so like I said, one of the main threats versus me is Palmot, right? I have no switch into Palmot. I tried to run like a max Sandy Shocks, and even then it was liable to get 2-hit killed by close combat, and it like made me weaker to other things. So I wanted to go with a Azu set that would possibly be able to bait Palmot, right? Eat the Thunder Punch, eat the Double Shock, and KO it back with a Play Rough. So that's the idea behind Wakan. Possibly catching a lead Palmot off guard, since lead Palmot fares pretty well versus my entire team. Now for this last move of Substitute, I was really debating running Substitute or Rain Dance on Azu, as I figured there was a potential he may lead with his Torkoal just to get up Sun. And oh, I also forgot to mention Wakan is also there for Sandy Shocks too. So there was an idea that he may lead off with Torkoal Sun, and I really like the idea of Rain Dance just because it would allow me to, number one, stop an incoming Solar Beam from Torkoal, as well as the fact that it would take away his weather and boost up my Azu as well, and Azu would become a huge threat versus him. However, I ended up settling on Substitute because I figured that Solar Beam, while decent versus my team, might not be the essential bring. He may prefer to run Lava Plume, Will-O-Wisp, Body Press, and maybe like Rapid Spinner Rocks. And I was thinking he may opt for Will-O-Wisp instead, or Yawn, because like I said, my team is very, very physical, and Will-O-Wisp or Yawn would be able to give him guaranteed status versus something like Dragonite. And so I didn't think that Solar Beam would be his choice, and I like Sub for avoiding any sort of status. So that's kind of the reason why I ended up settling on Sub. And then lastly, we brought Air Balloon Sandy Shocks. So this mon was here to, number one, switch into his Sandy Shocks, since I would be immune to both the ground and electric move. And also just be a hazard stacker here, since hazards were very, very good versus him. He does have 2 Rapid Spinners, but at the same time, Sandy Shocks beats both of them, especially with Air Balloon, making me immune to Treads' ground move. So yeah, and then I ended up packing on Body Press simply so that I could hit the Roaring Moon hard and hit a Balloon Treads and break its Air Balloon, since I figured that he may opt the same route that K-Crick did and run a Balloon Treads to wall my Sandy Shock. So Body Press was there to hit both of these mons. So yeah, that's the team that we ended up bringing. I think this was a pretty solid matchup on my end. Like I was pretty confident in what I had. I thought that it fared pretty nicely versus Maddie, especially that Dragonite. Like Dragonite Terra Normal E-Speed is just super free, like most often than not, right? There's not many conditions that I need to allow it to sweep. So I felt really confident going into this, but of course anything is possible. So let's hop into this match right here. So Maddie did end up bringing the Scope Villain, Treads, Palmot, Sandy Shocks, Torkoal, Roaring Moon. So did end up leaving the Hatterene and the Slaza, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think the only other mon that he may possibly leave off is Scope Villain, but I think not bringing your Terra user is not the move in most cases. So I wasn't super shocked to see it brought. But anyways, okay, let's just get this match started. So he ends up leading with Torkoal, right? I had mentioned earlier that I did think that was a likely lead, that or one of his electrics, and Ozzy was my lead of choice versus all three of those mons. And so I go for the sub, predicting him to go straight for the Will-O-Wisp, possibly trying to catch my Ozzy clicking belly drum, or whatever, or my swap out as well, since Torkoal can eat a hit with Sun. But he goes straight for the solar beam, and so here I'm like instantly regretting not running Rain Dance, as if I clicked Rain Dance, not only would I take away his Sun and his solar beam would be a 2-turn move now, and have himself locked in, but also would boost up my liquidation, give me a super strong hit on Torkoal too. So really regretting Rain Dance there, but what can you do? I end up swapping out since I know my Azu can't do much damage to this Torkoal and Sun. Let's go hard out to my Roaring Moon as he clicks rocks, which is a good play by him, knowing that I had to swap out. I clicked U-turn here, expecting him to want to swap into maybe like Treads or something like that. I also didn't want to take a body press as well, and Earthquake wasn't going to do a ton of damage since I wasn't attack invested. So I go straight out to my Sandy Shocks, get the special attack boost. I actually think that this is maybe a little bit of a misplay here, since I feel like I should have probably maintained my balloon for his Sandy Shocks and his Treads, and not wasted it on Torkoal, but it is what it is. My Sandy Shocks is a big threat versus him, and plus I have the special attack boost, so I opt to get up my rocks here since I figured that his Torkoal will swap out as he goes out in the Roaring Moon, and he proceeds to click Earthquake, which actually does a lot. Even with him being -1, it does 30%, and makes sense. He is Life Orb. He's also speed boosting as well. And I opt to go out to my Tauros because I'm like, with rocks up, I can now just kind of claim a kill with this Tauros. I'm banded, right? So I can do a ton of damage to like Torkoal, which would be his likely switch in. But you also just go straight for the double edge, which I thought was pretty interesting. He just kind of sacks off Roaring Moon. Probably wasn't too useful in this match, and with Tauros being a threat, it was like, you know, that makes sense. But he goes right out to the Sandy Shocks, right, and reveals to be defense boosting Iron Defense with the +1 in speed with the Sun. So this is very, very threatening right here, right? This Sandy Shocks kind of improving in early matches, just with how dangerous Annihilate was with bulk up. Amon boosting its defense that is also fast is really difficult for my team to handle, and with my Roaring Moon being my main response, and it being weak to body press, I knew that Roaring Moon would not be a good answer to this anymore. Like, I wasn't going to do any damage, and I also would straight up just die to body press. So I opt to go for U-turn, get a little bit of chip on Sandy Shocks, as I know he's going to click body press, and he proceeds to go out to go for an attack right here. But I go for a Jet to try and get a little bit more chip to maybe weaken him down into Roaring Moon plus another mon. However, it reveals to be weakness policy, right? And now this is very, very, very dangerous. Okay, like I essentially have to get this mon in range of Dragonite here, right? Dragonite or my Jet Tauros, okay? Because there is nothing else on my mon that, like, on my team that can outspeed this mon. So, and with the defense boost, he's easily able to live this Earthquake. So I'm actually really stressing out right now because my team is just getting decimated by the Sandy Shocks right here. So once I get that Earthquake damage off, I opt to go to Dragonite. And here I actually kind of make a misplay. I should have not Terra'd I think there's kind of like a little bit of a panic terror. As you can see, my timer was going down in this match, as I was really trying to figure out the best way I could handle this Sandy shots. And so I opted to click Terra here and then click Dragon Dance. Definitely should have stayed in regular form, as he wouldn't have done any damage to me. But he decides to swap out his Sandy shots and go right out into Torkoal, as I ended up clicking Roost because I figured that either he may swap to sack him on, or he would just click body press again. Either way, I could kind of scout to see what he wanted to do. So I felt like Roost was my best play, just like at least for initially. And it ends up working out for me, as he does go out to Torkoal. And I'm like, here, right? This is +1 Dragonite. I have my multi-scale intact. I really just need to kill this Torkoal and stop it from potentially clicking like Lava Plume or Will-O-Wisp versus me. And I really look really good, right? Like, with me having my multi-scale intact, even if Treads lives, I'm in a really good spot to just hit him with 2 Earthquakes and then E-speed the rest of his team. So I go right for the Earthquake, get the kill on Torkoal, and I'm like, okay, this Dragonite looks super solid, okay? And yeah, next thing you know, the match was over. Straight up. Yeah, on the side you can see that the timer was on and me and Maddie's both were low. However, on that Torkoal turn, I guess Maddie was thinking really hard about how to best approach this Dragonite, since I'd gone for the Roost, and his timer ends up going all the way down. So shout out to Timer W. Really unfortunate that the match ended that way, as it definitely wasn't like a close game at that point. I think Maddie ended up revealing afterwards that he was a Focus Sash Pawmot with I think, like, I can't remember the exact moves he had. He maybe had like Mach Punch or like Revival Blessing or something like that, and he had some sort of tech for Dragonite, if I recall. But no, he was Focus Sash Pawmot. And so I think what Maddie was planning on doing was going Treads here. I think the Earthquake versus Treads taking Rock's chip with his build was literally a 50-50 roll. So I think Maddie was banking on living the Earthquake with Treads, clicking Rapid Spin, and then sacking off Treads, and then going out into his Sash Pawmot and killing my Dragonite. I think that's what he was really banking on. Of course, it would have came down to that 50-50 on if I got that kill on Treads, but unfortunate that the game just ends right here due to timer. There's really nothing I could do. Like honestly, there's nothing I can do. Like I can't even turn off timer. So it was just pretty unfortunate that a playoff game especially ended like that, and also a game versus a really good player as well. So yeah, I guess we take those. You know, Timer W. Shout out to Timer. Timer always coming in clutch in the heat of battle, bro. In the heat of night, in the heat of controversy, bro. Timer don't miss. Anyways, yes, that is our match with Maddie done. So that means that we are progressing to the what is it? What's the third or no? What's the second round of playoffs called? It's not the semifinals, because there are still other matches left after this. But anyways, we're moving to round 2 of playoffs, and this time we are facing Sky, right? So Sky is I think the last UDL champion of season 4. So Sky has proven to be super solid at this game, and UDL especially. Like, number one, he was the second seed overall. Yeah, he was the second seed overall, had gotten that bye, and this boy Sky was cooking everybody. I mean, just look at his team, right? His team is pretty broken. He has an Iron Valiant, Dragonite Terra like me. He has the same Tauros like me. He got the same Glamora like me. This guy got my team, man. He got my team. And then to top it off, he got Skeledirge. Now, of course, this isn't Terra Dirge, thank goodness. However, like, Skeledirge is just an annoying mon. We saw from that match versus K-Crick, that mon is just fat and can blanket a lot of my setup, so it makes it really annoying. And then to finish it off, he has Donphan, Girafarig, Brute Bonnet, and Glaceon. And honestly, these low tier picks are also scary as well. I really don't have a good ice switch in besides Fortress, and Brute Bonnet as well can take Sandy Shock's hits. So which is a good mon versus him offensively otherwise. So yeah, his low and bro, I thought Giraffe Rig was a meme mon, but Sky had been using Giraffe Rig a lot in the regular season, and my mom was cooking. So I was like, oh yeah, I can't even discredit his low tier picks. Like, his entire team is a threat. And then of course, just his Valiant and Dragonite core is a menace. So going into this match, I already wasn't feeling too good. My team really doesn't have much counterplay to Dragonite. Straight up. My counterplay to Dragonite is my Dragonite. And specifically for his Dragonite, I was super worrying about Terra Electric. I knew right off the bat Terra Electric was the bane of my existence, right? Okay, just look at it. Just look at it real quick. Terra Electric, what does this mon do? Terra Electric with Terra Blast allows him to hit Paldea Tauros and Azu, which would otherwise be able to check Dragonite pretty well. But Terra Electric allows him to break through those mons. And all he needs otherwise is maybe Earthquake to hit Sandy Shocks and Glamora, Ice Spinner to hit Roaring Moon, Dragonite, whatever, or like a Dragon move, right? To hit Roaring Moon, Dragonite, whatever else he wants to hit. He doesn't even need any coverage for Fortress because all Fortress can do is click Gyro Ball. And Terra Electric allows him to resist Gyro Ball and keep clicking Dragon Dance. So yeah, I knew straight off the bat Terra Electric Dragonite is a huge menace. There's not much I can really do. Knowing that he would most likely run a Dragonite like this, I think I developed two teams. I developed two different teams to try and handle this threat. Really this matchup was about not losing to Dragonite. This is what this matchup was about. Was not losing to every other mon I could handle, but this Dragonite specifically. This is what it was about, not losing to this demon. All right. So I developed two teams, like I said. Ended up settling on this one. And so let's just take a look at it, right? First off, I decided to go with a Kebia Berry Azu, bulky spread, 200 HP, 56 offense, not a ton of attack, with Play Rough, Liquidation, Aqua Jet, and Encore, right? So the idea behind this was Azu would be a very good I think lead in this scenario, since I could eat any hit from any one of his mons. Kebia would allow me to take a Glamora hit if he let it and decide to just go straight for Sludge Wave, and I could eat the hit, quick Liquidation, and then click Jet right after to stop him from getting up a hazard. So this Azu was meant to be an anti-lead. I ended up packing on Encore because I didn't want to allow Dragonite to set up afterwards, since it was such a huge threat. And yeah, able to kill Valiant in one hit with Play Rough and eat a hit from whatever it does. Able to take on Tauros as well, hit Skeldurge hard, hit Donphan hard. Kebby was also so I could eat a Gunk Shot from Donphan too. And then yeah, Brute Bonnet, Play Rough, Glaceon, yeah, all that. So really this Azu was intended to be an anti-lead of sorts. Next up, I decided to go with a Intimidate Mirror Herb Tauros, okay? So the idea behind this was, in the case of Dragonite came out and it was really scary versus my team, I could bring out my Tauros, get an Intimidate off on him as he clicked Dragon Dance, lower him back down to just neutral, and also Mirror Herb his Dragon Dance as well. And what this would allow me to do was, number one, outspeed his Dragonite, as well as possibly live a hit from whatever he clicked, and then I could click whatchamacallit, a Raging Bolt, Close Combat, Rock Slide, whatever, and break his multi-scale since I outsped him. and that would then allow for something like my Scarfer, like Glamora, to then outspeed Dragonite afterwards and get the kill. So essentially this Tauros was to ensure that he didn't get multiple Dragonesses up with his Dragonite. That was the main idea behind this Tauros, okay? Other than that, this Tauros didn't have much purpose otherwise. It could definitely function as a Donphan switch-in, as a Tauros switch-in, but this one was primarily here to ensure that his Dragonite did not get multiple Dragonesses. Okay. Next up, ended up bringing Weakness Policy Sandy Shocks with Earth Power, Volt Switch, Reflect Spikes. I caught him was taking a page off of Maddie's prep, right, with the Weakness Policy, and this time Reflect over Iron Defense. The idea behind this was his primary switching to Sandy Shocks would possibly be like an AV Donphan. I didn't think that he would bring Brute Bonnet since it didn't look like it matched up that well versus my team. And so I figured that with Donphan it may be like an AV set. And so the idea was I could possibly get up in a Reflect, right? Eat the Earthquake that he went for, and then get boosted up with Earth Power after I hit him one time with Earth Power. And with an Earth Power into +2 Earth Power, I'd be able to kill the Donphan. Reflect also functioned as a way to end up eating the Jet from Tauros, and to sort of be an anti-Dragonite measure, so that I could Reflect if he went for Dragon Dance and then click Volt Switch to get out of there, break his scale, and my Mon could eat any hit with that Reflect up. So that was the idea behind that Spikes, is just to get some hazard chip versus him. And yeah, Sandy Shocks essentially serving as a breaker here. Next up, I decided to bring Terraflying Dragonite. So this Dragonite I was really debating on. Like I had said, I was easily predicting him to bring a Terra Electric, so bringing this Dragonite was essentially really scary. However, I felt like dedicating my Dragonite to his Dragonite was just a wasted effort. I felt that I really didn't have much way to win this game other than my own Dragonite. And to make a Dragonite as a counter to his would be taking away one of my main options to win this game. I didn't think that it was worth it, right? Especially due to the fact that any sort of Dragonite I used to counter an electric one didn't really fare well against the rest of his team. The best one I could really go for was maybe like a Terra Ground set. In hindsight, it might not have been too bad to run Terra Ground. However, even then, it was only a possibility he would be Terra Electric, and Terra Ground also wouldn't be able to break through Tauros as well, since he could get the Intimidate and then punish me with a water move. So I ended up settling on Terra Flying because I felt that I really needed to just rely on Dragonite to try and win this game before his Dragonite could. So Terra Blast, Flying, and Earthquake pretty much hit his entire team very, very well. Earthquake giving me big damage on Dirge and Glamora as well, and then Terra Flying hitting Valiant, Tauros, everything else. Terra Flying also allowing me to set up on Donphan too. So yeah, this Dragonite is essentially my win con. I think reflecting on this match, I think I definitely could have done a little bit more with Dragonite. Maybe brought a bit more of a creative set that would both serve as maybe a breaker but also a check to his Dragonite, since that was really my only counterplay to him, other than my Tauros and my Glim. But yeah, it is what it is. Next thing I brought was Choice Scarf Glamora. Like I had mentioned earlier, this is my main, well, I would say my backup check to his Dragonite. So if the Tauros failed, I had Scarf Glim to kind of clean it up. Scarf Glim also just looked really nice, since if he teared the Dragonite into an electric type, he had no Earth Power switch in other than Donphan, which my Sandy Shocks was meant to break. And also Scarf Poison move looked very free as well, since he didn't have a Steel type and no real other poison resist other than Glamora and Donphan, which could easily both be worn down. So To round it out, I ended up running Toxic and Memento. Memento was just in the case that I couldn't kill Dragonite, I could possibly get off a Memento and lower its attack back down to allow one of my other mons to kill it, or give my Dragonite a setup opportunity. And then Toxic as well was just in the case that Toxic looked like the most free click versus his team to just hit everything. So yeah. And then lastly, I was bringing Roaring Moon with Booster Energy, Attack, and Crunch, Acrobatics, Dragonite Substitute. So the intention behind this set was just so that I could set up on something like Skeledirge and possibly start breaking, right? Roaring Moon really didn't have a place in this match otherwise. I considered a Scarf set, but it felt a little bit redundant with Glamora, and Scarf really just didn't do any damage when he had a Tauros there. As well as the fact that Roaring Moon doesn't get a good move to hit Valiant other than Iron Head if it's Scarf. So I set it on Dragonance, Sub. Sub would allow me to set up on Skeledirge, Will-O-Wisp, and possibly with a Booster Energy attack in Dragonance, I could break through his Tauros, freeing up the likes of my Glamora to not get Aqua Jetted, or my Dragonite 2 to not get intimidated. So yeah, that was the idea behind that. Some notable mentions of other things I was intending on bringing were I think I was considering like a Trick Room or Rangaroo. I also at one, like in the other version of my team, I was considering Scarf Sandy Shocks, and I think like a sub Corrosion Glamora that was like sub Toxic Protect. I think that was the other version of my team, and I think that made a lot of sense since, like I said, he didn't have a good ground switching. But yeah, this is the team that I ended up settling on anyway. So let's take a look at this match. So right, switching to my side, he ends up bringing two of his low tier mons of Glaceon and Brute Bonnet. So my initial thought process about this was, well, this Glaceon is easily going to be a freeze dry set, right? I have no good freeze dry switching on my team, and especially the fact that I brought Terraflying Dragonite. I really don't have a switch in, so I was like, this Glaceon is definitely a threat for sure. And then I was actually shocked to see the Brute Bonnet, but I figured it may be here to be like a Sandy Shocks check. Was happy to see no Skeledirge though, since that meant that my Dragonite was a bit more free, and he really didn't have a Terraflying switch in. So yeah, let's just get started. So he ends up leading Brute Bonnet. Now I was intending to lead Azu, however once I saw the Glaceon, I really didn't want him to lead a Specs Glaceon and him just like clicking freeze dry versus my Azu. So predicting him to lead Glaceon, I led with Tauros, while he actually ends up leading with Brute Bonnet and reveals to be Booster Energy Defense. So this is pretty interesting on his part. I knew my Tauros wouldn't be able to kill Brute Bonnet at all with the especially with the Booster Energy Defense. So I just hard swap out. With this mon being intimidated, I knew it couldn't really do anything to my Dragonite, and as seen here, he just ends up clicking Seed Bomb and then hard swaps out. I think that makes sense, since I mean Brute Bonnet at -1 is never going to do anything to Dragonite. But yeah, I just go straight for the Terra Blast, since I felt it was best to kind of use Dragonite as a breaker here initially. And he goes right into Glamora, right? Okay, so my idea was he's not going to click Earth Power here, since I have a Terraflying Dragonite. He's probably just going to go for a Hazard or go for like a Power Gem or something like that. And I was thinking that because of that, I could easily go out into my Glamora, catch him off guard with the Scarf, and take him out with Earth Power. As well as the fact that I would be able to absorb T-Spike, which would be affecting all the rest of my team. So it seemed like a really good switch to me. Glamora would still prove useful to be, versus Dragonite. And so I go straight for the Earth Power. However, he reveals to be Shuckaberry, which is very good prep on his part. He must have specifically ran Shuckaberry to try and beat my Glamora 1v1. I think that makes sense, but I was actually really shocked that his Glamora ended up living, since I was max special attack Glamora and he was at like 70%, so I did not expect them on to live whatsoever, but ends up living, which is really unfortunate because he ends up earth powering me back, and I lose my Glamora. So now all of a sudden this Dragonite is very much a threat, since I lost my Scarfer to it. I think it was risky for me to go Glamora there, but I really didn't expect him to be Shuckleberry, as well as the fact that even if he was Shuckleberry, I was kind of confident my Glamora would still kill him with Earth Power. And I felt like letting any one of my other mons get toxic wasn't really worth, so I still stand by that play. It was just unfortunate how it worked out. So I now use this opportunity to go out to Sandy Shocks, and I figured he would go straight out into Brute Bonnet, since that seemed to be his check for it. So I go straight for Volt Switch, bring out my Roaring Moon, which has a booster energy attack, and I go for sub, thinking that he would swap in the Tauros, but he goes actually for the body press, and I'm like, okay, this Brute Bonnet is like really, really bulky. And you see here it does like 65% with body press, which is insane. Yeah, Roaring Moon just proving once again he's not him, bro. Acrobatics not even killing the Brute Bonnet, man. And actually I predicted him to sack Glamora here, right, on the Roaring Moon, because with my Glamora gone, if I attack into this Glamora with any physical attack, that means that T-Spikes are going up and I have no way to remove them, right? I don't have Rapid Spin, I don't have Mortal Spin, my Glamora is gone. So because of that, I knew that I didn't want to be baited into killing his Glamora with my Roaring Moon. And I figured that he would sack it, so I go straight out into Sandy Shocks, predicting Glamora to come out, and I get that prediction right. And now I'm able to just click Volt Switch. Oh no, this was a good play on my part. This is a good play. I knew that he wouldn't sack Glamora here, since this is still useful to save to try and get the T-Spike up later, so I figured he would go right back on the Brute Bonnet, and so I used this opportunity to get up my Spike, which I thought was a really nice play on my part, since Spike would allow me to then kill his Glamora. Yo, this is crazy that I'm going through this match now, because this is the 4D chess play in my brain right here that I did, bro. The fact that I predicted his Glamora to come out, went to my Sandy Shocks, and then went for Spike so that he couldn't get Glamora back in. Beautiful play, beautiful play. Kill him with Volt Switch, and now Brute Bonnet's dead, and I don't have to worry about this Glamora being a threat because it's going to die to Spike. So very, very good situation on my part. So now he goes up to the Dragonite as I go into my Roaring Moon, and here I'm like, man, this is not good, right? I think I was intending to maybe run Scale Shot on my Roaring Moon at one point, which honestly I really should have, since this Roaring Moon was not, I needed to make my team as anti-Dragonite setup as possible, okay? And really this Roaring Moon was the only mon on my team that allowed in Dragonite to set up. Just really not good prep on my part, right? The only mon on my team that kind of let Dragonite set up for free was this Roaring Moon, and I decided to bring it in. For why, I don't know. For why, I do not know, man. And yeah, not a good position for me. I go right up to my Tauros, and he reveals to be Terra Electric. I'm like, okay. He clicks Dragon Dance, okay. And at this moment, I realized, yeah, I do not have my Scarf Glim anymore. If I had my Scarf Glim, this would be perfectly fine, right? I could go, I could go for the whatever move, break his multi-scale, and once he killed me, I could then go out to Glamora. But yeah, I do not have that Revenger. So I go straight for the Rock Slide, because I'm like, my only chance right here is to just hopefully get the flinch and then take him out with close combat afterwards. That's legit my only hope here, is to get flinch. And unfortunately, I do not get a flinch, and he clicks Dragon Dance again. I'm like, well, wallahi, we're finished, man. At this point, there's like nothing I can do, right? I'm not Shuckleberry on this. I lost my Glamora. And like I said, Terra Electric Dragonite just goes crazy versus my team. So unfortunately, that is the wrap. Like that's the end of the game right there. Like there's really nothing I could do. If I had my other team, I think on my other team, I think at one point I had a double scarf team with double scarf Glamora and double scarf Sandy Shocks. Had I had that, I might have been able to do something. I don't know. It still would have been kind of dicey. But yeah, just sort of unfortunate that you know, I really didn't have much counterplay to this, and I just felt like I was playing this match well up until this point, and I had the tools to win. But the moment Dragonite came out, it was just wraps. And yeah, it was just I really needed to play in a way that I'd never let this Dragonite do this to me, and unfortunately, the way how I designed my Roaring Moon and me losing Glamora, there was kind of no way to avoid this. So yeah, really disappointing end to our UDL run. Not proud of this game. I felt like I had a lot more to offer, especially because I spent a lot of time building for this, and like I said, I had multiple versions for this match, and evidently I did not choose the right one. So not gonna lie, this loss kind of hurt a little bit, as I felt like I was really going strong for a while in UDL, especially with my comeback from I think it was like a 3-game loss streak, and you know, just basically squeezing in the playoff by winning my last couple games, especially versus some of my hardest opponents, and beating you know, Maddie in my round 1. So it was really tough to lose like this, but I figured if I did lose to anyone in this league, it would be to Sky. Sky just has really good prep, unorthodox prep that can I think I was saying this to whoever was helping me build at this time, that I'm like, Sky is easily one of the people that I'm most liable to lose to. Like his play style and his prep is one that almost is like the bane of my existence. Like it's antithesis to mine. So it makes sense that Sky was the one to knock me out of playoffs. But overall, though, I can't complain about this UDL run right here. Like I said, we had a good start. Ended up being in a little bit of a slump, but we bounced back, ended up making playoffs. And the thing that I can say, first and foremost, is that at least it shows consistency on my part, right? And both seasons of UDL that I played so far, seasons 4 and 5, I've been able to make playoffs, and I've also been able to not just make playoffs, but also win games in there as well. Which, like I said, UDL is definitely the most prestigious league at this point. So the fact that I'm able to, you know, compete with the best of them, like you know, how I see myself as, I just thought was, you know, just a testament to, you know, my skill as a player, I guess. So definitely happy with my performance overall. It sucks that we weren't able to take the championship, but you know, it is what it is. I think this is one of my first Gen 9 leagues, and I was happy that I got the chance to use a lot of these mons, especially Broken Dragonite, as nowadays Dragonite is banned everywhere. So yeah, basically one of the one and only times I got to use Dragonite, so I'm happy I was able to use it. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed my UDL experience. I most definitely will be returning for the next season, season 6, and from there we will be winning that chip. Watch out, we on that for sure. So yeah, that concludes our UDL run. Thank you all for watching. I know it's been I guess a long series. It's been 3 parts with a lot of time for it. So yes, thank you all for watching this, you know, first series to our channel. Means a lot to everybody who's watched so far. I will have more draft content coming up, possibly covering other leagues, covering tournaments that I'm in, team tours, whatever I feel like uploading, maybe some informational videos, draft tips, whatever. But yeah, I thought UDL would be a nice place to start. But like I said, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all later. Peace.